Game Design, October 2017. Farewell, XBLIG, with Dylan Wolf and Levi D. Smith.
Welcome everyone to the October 2017 meeting of Knoxville Game Design. We are developers in the Knoxville and East Tennessee area who develop games for fun and also develop games for profit. This month we currently just have me and Dylan Wolf on the line.
Hi.
Okay, so first of all, we'll hit up some news. I know, Dylan, you're going to be at the DevSpace Conf in Huntsville, Alabama. Let me share this out. Next weekend, is that right?
Yes. Submitted 2 game dev panels. One was finishing your Unity game, which I gave a lightning talk on at Codestock a couple of years ago. Which is just kind of like the steps that you have to go through before publishing on mostly Google Play, but also other things, as well as game dev for business devs,
Yes.
where I kind of go through, which is a completely new panel, where I'm going to go through some of the differences between, say, writing XNA or writing Unity or something like that, and other like stuff you would do in kind of your day job. Because I know, when I first got into XNA, that was the most difficult thing. Like, just because you know C# doesn't mean you know how to think in function calls that last a 60th of a second, and have to break down actions into that.
Yeah, so this is like for business developers who develop code for their day job and want to make the leap into game development. This kind of fills in the gaps of what you need to do to actually develop a game. To take those skills you already have and transfer that into a game development environment.
Kind of like what patterns you're working with there, as opposed to, you're building a long-running database or process that interacts with the database or a website or something like that.
Yeah, so this be along the lines like, here's how you create a update call and draw calls, opposed to things you're doing for business.
And just generally how to think about stuff like that. Like I said, kind of decomposing it into frames.
Okay, I want to share my screen here. And I currently have the DevSpace information site here. It's at devspaceconf.com. And again, that's next weekend for us. That'll be October 13th and 14th at the Von Braun Center, right there in the middle of Huntsville, Alabama. I looked at the prices. It's kind of steep, especially if you haven't already signed up. I think it's $150, so I don't know if I'll be making it.
Yeah, it's a developer conference like Codestock or DevLink, although I guess DevLink isn't, that sort of thing. Like, some of the other cons and stuff that we've talked about have not been, things that your company might send you to. So
yeah. I know they got to pay a lot to rent out those arenas and everything, and Von Braun Center can't be cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you got your tickets early, it's $75, and it goes all the way up for late to $150. But yeah, I think this is still run by Chris Gardner. Is that right?
Yeah, and actually that was the whole reason why I submitted. He was in the XNA community, years and years ago. So like, I think all of our paths kind of crossed, and I saw him at Codestock, and he suggested I submit, because I think that's kind of what like he's done for people in kind of the game dev community. He doesn't mind throwing in some of those sessions.
Yeah, I know he used to be a frequent speaker at Codestock, and he would always do like 1 or 2 XNA or game dev in general talks.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, so it looks like they have a lot of good speakers down there, a lot of good sessions. Let's see here. Sessions from, so they got C++ and .NET, JavaScript, SQL Server. So it looks like they got a little bit of everything, and like you just said, they got game development too. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's your talk right here, game dev for business. So if you want to check that out, I believe you also had a link on your site. I linked to it on the main Knox game design site. So if you want to read like an overview of your 2 talks, it's on your upcoming panels post. You have descriptions there.
Yeah.
So by the way, I did do a little bit of work on the Knoxville game design website. I figured out how to use custom fonts using the Google fonts, so it makes it kind of look a little bit more retro gamey like, and tried to apply some of the red, green, cyan theme to this. So.
Okay, yeah, like trying to make things stand out a little more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I did a lot of WordPress programming. I was able to use the what was it? There's like an editor in there, and you just go through and you add custom CSS.
Yeah.
And then I go into Firefox. This really isn't game dev related, but I go into Firefox, and there's a developer panel right here, and you can click on Inspector, and then there's like a little arrow and box right here, and then you can like use that and find out what you want to change. And like if I want to change this element right here, then it will actually tell me through here all the styles that have been applied, and actually the name of what that thing is.
Yeah. It's been a little while since I've messed with that sort of thing in WordPress. I would usually just install it locally, and because you can actually put a theme into a folder and then zip it up.
Oh.
And then when you do that, like you can upload it, and that way, like you can move plugins and themes around. But
I know we do have like a sub theme of the old whatever it was 2013 theme. So I think I did make some changes to that, but so I probably need to take the CSS changes that I made in the CSS editor, and then move that into the custom Knox game design theme.
Yeah, I like working on that sort of thing locally, or at least on like a dev site, because I'm just always afraid that I'm gonna, especially if I get into any actual HTML or PHP, that I'm just gonna break the entire site, and it's gonna take like some time to actually get it back up.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I just was working on it live through the little editor. I figure CSS, hopefully I won't break anything, but
yeah.
And if I do host something up here, I can always just delete the custom CSS and it'll go back. But yeah, I do agree. It's a lot better to work on things offline. Have like a little QA area so you can just test, and just in case something gets hosed up. Okay, go back here, and so we talked about dev space. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Joe Miller isn't on. Hope he's doing okay. But there is a GM48 coming up next weekend as well. If you go to their site, it says that it runs from October 14th through 16th, but this is like Greenwich London time, or something weird. So it's actually our October 13th at 9 p.m. To Sunday night. So yeah, hopefully have to check with Joe Miller, see if he's participating in that. I did see like a tweet from him that he's like trying to get back into game dev or something like that.
Yeah, I saw some tweets from him where he was working on like an JRPG style project or something like that. So
let's see if I can pull his stuff. Yeah, so yeah, he's got like a little JRPG, like you just said, Dylan. So I guess this is in Game Maker, I'm assuming, writing this from scratch. Similar to Shining Force, but with some other things planned.
Yeah.
So yeah, life gets in the way. I'm sure he's just busy and everything, and so hopefully we'll hear from Joe again pretty soon. So yeah, I'll try to do this, but I don't know. Have something to talk about next month. Our friends in Lexington, they're having LexPlay 2017. I'm not sure if this is for. I think this might just be like game playing, like game tournaments and things like that. But it looks like they got a good big crowd. 92 signed up to go to it. Largest game convention in Central Kentucky. This is convention's second year, and we're ready once again to bring you the best in esports, video games, tabletop games, retro gaming, and more. So,
but it is actually hosted by Run Jump Dev, which is
the Lexington,
like their game dev group.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Lexington equivalent of us.
Okay.
So even though it isn't specifically game dev, there'll probably be a lot of game developers there. So yeah, that's later this month. I may try to make that. I don't know. Yeah, they got a place here where you can buy tickets through Eventbrite. I'll also mention that IndieCade is going on this week, actually right now in Los Angeles. Big game development type convention for indie developers to show off their games. I know a lot of like famous, I guess, games have came out of this. And they have like awards and things like that, the most unique and best new indie games out there. So, yeah, hopefully we'll hear more about this and the upcoming stars of the indie game world. Unity 2017.2. So Unity's under this new numbering scheme now. It used to be Unity like 4.5, 5, 5.6 and everything. Now they're going to like the year. And then I guess the .2 is the number of the release that year. So the second release in 2017. Seems like the biggest thing that out of this is they're like collaborating with Autodesk now. So Autodesk is the owner of the FBX format, which if you make models in Blender, from what I've heard, if you make a model in Blender, then import that into Unity, then there's like this implicit conversion into FBX. Now you can always manually export it to FBX yourself and import it in, but there's always been like, it's worked pretty well, but some of the things like animations and things like that haven't always translated perfectly into Unity, so maybe they're going to be collaborating with them more. Maybe Autodesk will open up the format, which I'm not sure. FBX may already be open, I'm not sure, but it sounds like they'll be collaborating with them, so keep look out for that. I know there's been some problems with the current version of Unity and the Xbox One's creators program, so you have to like get the bleeding edge patch version from Unity, so hopefully those updates will be rolled into this official version right here. So Xbox Live Indie Games, I think as of yesterday, it should be completely shut down. Tim Hurley, who was one of the, he ran the XBLIG, he was one of the writers, reviewers, review sites for indie games. He did a pretty good post farewell to Xbox Live Indie Games. So all of us who have developed games for Xbox Live Indie Games, we should be getting a payout from Microsoft for the remaining amount on our accounts. I don't know, Dylan, if Funkworks had anything there to be paid out.
Maybe like around $100, which, split up is not going to be that much, but
it's still something.
It's something.
Because I remember you and Mike Neal released Inca Blocks. And
yeah.
You also released, or no, you developed the dubstep gun game, Captain Dubstep. But
that was for Dream Build Play, and it never really, like, I think one of the things that kind of killed that was that was the same year that Axiom Verge was submitted, which was also doing like a Metroidvania style, even like a futuristic Metroidvania style. And it was just like, nah, there's no point in continuing this.
Yeah.
By that,
and
even I think I think Inca blocks, like Mike ended up putting that on Google Code or something. I don't know if that's even still around, but
Yeah.
that got taken. Like we ended up taking it down.
Oh.
That's a whole long story of like.
There's a whole story about Mike like manipulating the ratings or something like that. And
Well, yeah, like there were issues that people in the XBLIG community had seen, like things go up and down the top game charts, just weird, kind of weird movements. I think Mike was at one point tracking that or something. Like he was like doing screen scraping or something to kind of test some of that. Or that may have been when we took over the XBLIG database or whatever.
yeah, the indie side. Yeah.
So he ended up figuring out that you could do, you could take like Xbox Live Silver accounts, create them on the website, vote for something that you hadn't even downloaded, and actually get movement in the rankings. And so of course that was one of those things that like you couldn't get XBLIG support to publicly like make a statement about or deal with. So there was kind of the sense in the community of like, this is not being taken seriously, just like everything else in XBLIG was at one point, because that was kind of how the community, like there wasn't a ton of communication there on some of the bigger issues.
Yeah, like XBLIG was just kind of like off on the side. It's like, oh, here's some quirky little games, but these aren't the official Microsoft games. Go in there at your own risk.
Yeah, and I'm not. That's a horrible story to tell, I guess, considering it's shutting down. Like I don't mean to make it sound bad, but that was just kind of the dynamic for the ratings issue, and he was just like, well, I'm gonna demonstrate this, and then and at that point it was like, no, we just need to take it down because that's not. Like, we don't want to be one of the bad guys here.
Yeah. But, yeah, maybe you guys will get a small payout. I think I still have some money on my account. I remember I got one payout, but now it's got to – I think you had to have $150 to actually get a payout from Microsoft. So, yeah, hopefully they'll pay that out. I know I saw the Chaos guys. They started to, like, posting all of their codes for Evil Quest.
Yeah.
Their leftover codes. Like, oh, okay, here's – like some codes before it shuts down. Use them before October 7th when it shuts down. Then I think if you use it before then you can still play the game.
Yeah.
You just can't buy it anymore or anything. So I actually went and like took a screenshot of all my codes. I posted mine out there too. I don't know if anybody downloaded them or anything, but
yeah, but that I know I haven't really participated in any of it, but I've seen people tweeting about kind of different things to do, make sure that you get your game out and, where you can put it on Windows or something like that. Because XBLIG really was a good community. And even with some of the issues, I think a lot of us know various people that we do in the game dev community because of XNA and because of XBLIG. Especially...
That's where a lot of people got their start right there is through XBLIG, and it definitely gave us all a bigger platform. I mean, anybody can go up and put a game on the internet, like on Itch.io or something. Well, that's the days before Itch.io, so it's kind of like a forerunner to a lot of these other indie game sites.
Well, yeah, and like the Chaos guys, the guy who did, I can't remember his name. I can't even remember his company name. The guy who did I Made a Game with Zombies in It, who's now doing like
Silva,
James Silva,
SKA, something like that. Ska.
Yeah, Ska Studios, who did like they've done a couple of actual Xbox Live Arcade games. Z-Boyd games with Cosmic Star Heroine, like that just came out. Like there are a lot of people that would not have gotten the start if it weren't for not just XNA, but but for XBLIG, or at least that's kind of how they started. So
Yeah, it was really nice because you just had to pay your like $99 annual fee, and then anybody that can like run XNA, compile a game, can put a game out there.
Yeah.
Whereas before XBLIG, especially on a major console, you actually had to like go through a publisher. You had to do the networking and go through all that. So I was also going to mention you were talking about porting games earlier to other platforms. I know I ported my TTYGFX game over to was it the Windows Store, Windows 10 Store?
Yeah.
And I was going to mention anybody out there looking to port their game from XNA, Mono Game is pretty much the accepted platform for porting. It isn't too hard. There's like some things that are a little bit different, and they're continuing to add support, but I can definitely say it is possible to port a game from XNA to Mono Game without too much difficulty, then put that on other platforms such as the Windows Store and things like that.
Yeah, or just put it out there, you know, on HEO or something simple. Yeah,
I'm not sure if the XNA libraries will still run under Windows 10 with the Windows build anymore, but
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
yeah, I think it's broken now, but I think there may be hacky ways to get XNA to run, but if you want it to be able to be played by anyone, Mono Game is the way to go for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some of those old libraries, like the Creator Studio and all that stuff that you had to download, a lot of that doesn't work, but... Okay, so I noticed on the Knoxville Dev Slack group they've announced location for the next quarterly meetup, and it's at Open Chord Music on October 26th. So I guess this might be like a Halloween tie-in theme or something to this. So I clicked on this earlier. It's the music shop that's on Kingston Pike. Let's bring it
across from like Books A Million, I think.
Yeah, I think there's like a bookstore across the street and a Sonic or something.
Yeah.
Like right where Ted Russell Ford is, and it's like near Bridgewater Road in that area over there. So, yeah, we had a good time at the Sunsphere last time. I guess they couldn't get the Sunsphere again. Or it sounds like they'll like to change the location every time. So maybe they'll have music and stuff. I'm not sure. But
I just thought I'd mention in the email, like, I need to look at getting some flyers or something printed up.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do that through Vistaprint if,
Yeah, that would be cool, because it seems like that was the most popular thing from our booth last time. Just people just picking up, hey, well, what are we about, and description of the group and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like we had more stuff set up just because game dev kind of lends itself to that, but also, like, we were joking, I feel like we're pretty much all introverts, so it's kind of like, nah, just look at the thing. Well,
yeah. Yeah, I wish we had. There might be pictures on that one video, but we had like the table completely like full with like all of our games and all of our handouts, and like we had your endless nonstop runner game running with controllers, and then we had like tablets showing the podcast, and
yeah.
I think another thing showing time-lapse videos, and I think we were supposed to actually share a table with like the Knox VR group, and we just kind of like pushed them off onto the next table. But yeah, it was a lot of fun and getting the word out about what we do and things like that. Okay. So I didn't ask Dylan, did you have anything you wanted to show off this month?
Nah, honestly, I have been kind of busy and just like not really doing game dev, mostly just playing games at this point.
Yeah. What have you been playing lately?
Overwatch. I started playing PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds a little bit, which is interesting. It's not something I'm good at, and not, like, I like the idea of parachuting down and running around an island, not so much, doing realistic first-person shooter stuff, because my reflexes are not. And then I got back into playing Final Fantasy 14 a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't played that one yet. That's like one of the few Final Fantasy games I haven't played. I've been playing like a bunch of weird Japanese stuff, like Senran Kagura, and trying to get back into Yakuza Ryu ga Gotoku. There's a new release of that, a remake of, I think, Yakuza 2. And I'm still playing Tekken 7. I got out of Persona 5. I got to a point, it was like, where it just didn't make much sense anymore, which all Persona games are kind of wacky. I know I saw Mike and doing These Are Video Games. He was doing a playthrough of Persona 5, so I checked that out. I'll go ahead and give Mike a plug there. He does These Are Video Games on, I think, Friday nights at 8 p.m. on Twitch.
Yeah, I think the Twitter is like These Are VG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to do a quick demo, which I actually did a quick run through before, of the cloth component. I'm not sharing. The cloth component and shaders, which I'll go ahead and admit I am not an expert in like shader creating, but I know like enough to do the basics. So first of all, I got a new Unity project right here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Game Object and add a new plane, a 3D object plane, and this is going to be like a flag. So go ahead and call this a flag. By the way, I did release a game, an educational game called 50 Flags of the United States, so I got a little bit of experience working with these cloth components and things like that. Let me go ahead and rotate this guy. So that's gonna, so that's the back side because you can't see the back side, and that's the front side. So I'm gonna go into GIMP, and there's where I was playing around earlier. I'm going to create a new texture, go into filters. This is gonna be like a checkerboard flag. So I'm gonna go into render pattern and go to checkerboard, and I'm using a 1028 or 1024 by 1024 size resolution image right here. You can do bigger if you want to, if you want more resolution or more detail. So filter, render, pattern, checkerboard, 128 by 128. So I got my texture there. I'm going to do a file, export, and I got my shader. I just called this shader test. In assets, I'm going to create a texture folder. Then I'm going to call this like checkerboard, PNG. Export that. Go back over to Unity. So now I have a texture folder in assets. So I can actually just drop this checkerboard right onto the texture or the plane right there. I need to rotate this the other way. It's not looking at the camera. So twist this over. You can always check by, I think, going to game so you can see it right there. And actually...
But I'm assuming you could like put two planes together or flag something where you would get the two-sided effect, right?
Yeah, you can do that. Or you could use like a cube, but I'll get into how to do that with a shader here in a little bit. So there's the checkerboard, and there's that. So what you can do is go into flag and add a component. And I think it's under rendering, or no, it's under physics. And go into the cloth component right there. So there's a lot of different settings. I don't have my zoom on right now or anything, but it's over here in the lower right-hand corner right here. The ones that I primarily work with, well, first of all, edit constraints. I'm just going to press play. Hopefully this doesn't slow down too much or anything. So it's just going to fall because I got gravity on and everything. But you can edit constraints and go back over to scene. So now when you have edit constraints turned on, you see all these little nodes. So you can actually click on this select, and then you can drag this box over all these little nodes, and then they'll be highlighted. So then I can click max distance and set that to a max distance of 2. So that's going to let all these little nodes be able to move any way with 2 units. Move a maximum of 2 units. And let's say this left side, that's like where the flagpole is. I'm going to select those and set a max distance of 0. So that's going to make those red, saying those can't move at all. Then all the ones that are green, they can move at a max distance of 2. So press play. And let's see here. I guess I should have did maximize on play. Maximize on play. So now you can see there's a flag, and it's moving a little bit, and it's crumpling a little bit and falling. What you can do is go down, and there's this external acceleration. So if I want it to, like, the wind blowing to be to the right, I can, like, set that to a value like 20. And that will make it blow straight that way. Or if I want the wind blowing the other way, I think I can set it to, like, -20. And then it starts blowing the other way. It's kind of getting wrapped up on itself a little bit there. Or if I want it blowing upward, I can do Y value, let's say 30. And it should blow upward like that. And then there's another neat setting. Let's turn that off. There's a random acceleration. So let's say, let's set random acceleration Z to 50. Try that. And you can also edit these while you're playing in play mode. So what the random acceleration is going to do, it's going to blow the wind in either positive or negative to that maximum value, either -50 or +50. So you'll get like that whipping in the wind effect when you set that random acceleration like that. But there's a lot of other settings that you can play with in here. But like Dylan, like you were saying earlier, sometimes you can notice some issues if the flag wraps around, you can't see the back side. So to fix that, you need a shader. So let me click on assets. So to create a shader, just click create, and it's right here, shader. I'm going to do a standard surface shader. I'm going to call this, just say new flag shader. And you can double click on that. Then we'll bring this up in Visual Studio, but it's not like standard C code or C# code. It's this custom shader code, which kind of looks like C or C++. So you have all these different settings, which I can talk a little bit about some of these in a minute. But the important one for a flag, if you want to see double-sided, you go into this sub-shader section right here, and under LOD, you type cull off. So that turns off culling, which means it's going to render on both sides. So after you do that, you go back to your flag, and you can scroll to the bottom over here, and where it says shader standard, you click on that. You can go to customs, and then I can do my new flag shader to associate that. So it should now display on both sides. You got to be very careful with this. If you do have like a complex model, you don't want to render both sides for a very complex model where you weren't seeing the inside of the model or anything. But it's good for things like this, like a little flag. So you can press play there. And really can't tell, but if I, let me minimize this or get out of maximize. So if I go to scene and move this around, or even select the camera and pull the camera this way and then rotate it. So you can kind of see the back side of the flag now. So yeah, if you need like a little checkerboard for checkerboard flag for a racing game, that's the way you can do that. I'll also mention about shaders. Let's go back to the new flag shader. The one thing I do know about it is these properties up here and at the very top of your shader. If you click on your object that has the shader assigned, you can expand this right here where you set the shader. I don't know if I can move this up or not. It would help if I could move it up. But you expand that, and you have all these settings for the shader. And that's where I have the material assigned and the color. Like if you want to have a red hue or something, you can change that. You have all these tiling and offsets. But say I don't need smoothness. Let's see. If I don't need smoothness or metallic, I can go up here to properties. And you can see I have all these settings down here under the shader are defined up here. So if I don't need those, I just hit delete, save the shader, and it gets rid of them right there. Or if I need like a new setting, like if I need a new custom color, I can do like an underscore color and say my new color. And let's say set this default to red, so I can do 1001. So that's RBGA, and save that. And now I have this my new color down here, which should have been set to red. I don't know why. Maybe I must have those both tied to the same variable or something. Oh, let's say new color right there. I guess that's the variable name before that right there. So my new color, say it's blue, so you can change it there. So one other thing about this, if you have transparency in your flag, so let's go back over to GIMP, and I want to like cut out, or first of all, I got to go to Layer, add Alpha Channel. Then let's say I want to cut out part of the flag, make it like a triangular flag. Click on that, hit delete, and let's grab this part right here and hit delete. So now I got a triangular flag file. I want to export that over my checkerboard. So that should automatically update. Let's see here. Go back to my texture. Now I was having a little bit of problems with this earlier. Go back to GIMP, file, export as, make it checkerboard 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you right click and do like re-import?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was having this problem when I was running through this earlier. Sometimes it doesn't want, let's do, like you're saying, re-import all. Go ahead and save that. Okay, file name, flag demo. Oh, I know one problem. I actually got to set the transparency of the material or the texture. I think it's material. I can set that to a sprite style. Okay. So checkerboard 2, texture type default. I want to change this to sprite 2D. Apply. Okay, so it changed it there. I think the problem is here, maybe I have 2 different materials applied. So let me see here, mesh plane. Let me get rid of the skin mesh renderer. So remove that. Okay. Or maybe I just disable it. Drag checkerboard. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so there's the checkerboard. That really isn't what I wanted. I wanted this on top of the flag. It's almost like it created this as its own object. Materials. Oh, maybe I can go flag. Turn this back on. Go to checkerboard. And for the Abdello, I can click on the checkerboard too here. And let's turn the color back to white. So this is expected right here. So you notice you do see the triangle, but there's all this mess on the side. So we can fix that in the shader. what you need to do, and I'll have to look at my example here. So I got to back up over here. Let's see here. Backup flat. No, it's under assets. Backup. So I got this example shader. So I think I can go on my flag and change this over to flag shader backup. No. Example shader. Okay. So here we have these additional parameters under subshader. Set Q to transparent, render type to transparent, and also turn on blend source alpha and all these different settings. Alpha to mask on. See if I can copy that and put this in my new flag shader. Go ahead and turn those off. Save that, and hopefully it doesn't display. Let's see if I can pull this one out and delete this one. So this is what it sort of looks like right here. I had an extra stray line going through there. Yeah, for some reason that didn't work, but here's the flag shader backup right here, which was what I was showing right here with the additional settings. Flag shader, the transparency and things like that turned on. So that's like a little short example of how to do a flag that may not be rectangular in using a custom shader in Unity. So go ahead and stop screen sharing here. So I think that's all I had for this month. Dylan, did you have anything you wanted to promote, share, anything like that?
Nah, like I said, I haven't really been doing anything game development wise in the last month, so.
Yeah, I figure it'd probably pick up. I mean, we do have Ludum Dare, but it won't be until December. So yeah, then maybe some of us will get together for the Knox Dev event later this month. And
yeah, I'm planning on being at that.
Okay, I think it's like, is it a Thursday night again?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that was the assumption I made. I don't know that I actually checked it. I can check real quick.
Yeah, October 26th. Yeah, that's
yes,
a Thursday.
that is a Thursday.
Which isn't great, but at least they're a little bit consistent on always having it on the same night.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, be sure to check out Dylan's stuff. He's DylanWolf.com is his main website. At Dylan Wolf, you can find him on Twitter, and Dylan Wolf on Itch.io. You can find my stuff. LeviDSmith.com is my website. At GA Tech Grad on Twitter, and I'm also GA Tech Grad on Itch.io. So we appreciate everyone watching, and we'll be back in a month.